Hey everybody, welcome. So I wanted to do a video talking about the upgrades and such forth on my bikes. Now the Hyper E Ride is not my first upgraded bike. I've actually done probably about 3 others. My first major start of upgrading bikes was actually on a Walmart Power X Next bike. It was a 26-inch full suspension mountain bike and just like that. It was the one with the suspension arm in the middle of the bike, and then it had the floating seat post design. Yeah. Um, I'll kind of give a similar link down below of what it actually looked like. Many companies are using the same kind of design nowadays, but basically that was exactly the same design as what the Power X was. Um, and my upgrades were, besides the sliming of the tires, which is a must on any kind of bike, obviously, was my seat and my handlebars. I've upgraded that with a handlebar Panda bag, and then um, I put a seat post rack on the back, which really wasn't that great because I've kind of really didn't think it over too much, but it worked sort of, but didn't really work full potential because, again, it's a full suspension bike, so the rear tire is going to go up and down and the entire front of the frame is not. So with the seat posts, that's not going to work because the front and the back are independent and so forth. If the back is more sticking out, it doesn't really work that well, especially if you have the seat kind of low to where you can actually stand while you're stopped, or I mean sit on the bike while you're stopped, and that didn't really work out for me because it only had about that much play in the entire seat post from the tire tread to the seat post bottom rod piece. Yeah, literally that much before it started grinding the tread on the seat post rod. So that was quite a conundrum. So that's why I went with the Mongoose League 2.1 later in the future, um, because it had much more length to the seat post of the stock seat post I had on a previous bike, and my seat post saddle was also a must because those stock Walmart seats are not the most comfortablest things, and that wasn't the most comfortablest ride coming home with it either. I got dropped off at the Walmart. They had the bike at the rack system, and I pulled the bike off, made sure everything was good for all the parts, all the components, the brakings were okay, and everything was that. Then I rode home with it. I took a bus. I rode about half a mile to the bus station, took the bus, and then I had to ride about a mile back home. And just that mile with that seat, the saddle that it came with, that was not the very comfortable seat post to ride on. I was like, my butt was killing me for the next 2 days after that. I was like, ooh. I was like, yep, this is the first thing that's gonna go. Surprisingly though, it was actually an easy upgrade to the Mongoose because all I did was just, since the seat post rack and the saddle was already on the seat post rod for the Power X was the similar size as the Mongoose. I basically just took the rod that had the seat post and the saddle and just swiped onto my Mongoose. I was like, that's the best upgrade ever. So I did that, and then I did that, and then this kind of looks weird, just holding a phone pointing at yourself, like. So I did that with my first upgrade for it, And then I couldn't use the handlebar bag because the amount of braking and cables on the front were too finicky to fit the bag on it. So I didn't have that. I had the rear panel bag and all that jazz upgrade onto it. And then you can see there's other videos that I've shown off about. I'm kind of sitting on a dirt mountain, so I don't want ants crawling up my butt. But you can see the videos that I've done on that bike. There's another video. It's on my other channel though. I'll link it down below, that you can see my Yukon-Trail Nav. That's my second bike that I upgraded. Actually my third bike I upgraded, and my first electric bike. And that thing was heavy. That was actually stock was 80 pounds, and it was not that much of a powerful motor system. It was actually, the motor and power performance of it was only 250 watts of power at 24 volts with a 10Ah lithium ion battery cell in the middle. Still got a 20-mile range on throttle performance, but yeah, it didn't have that much power performance, but still, I mean, heck, even compared to my Hyper E-Ride, the motor power performance was just probably slightly less than the Hyper E-Ride in performance. And that's saying a lot because it's an 80-pound bike stock, and it's a cruiser design system, and it's a steel frame system too. So it had a lot of punch and performance for it, even though it was very, very kind of small in the power ability. It was still a lot of craziness for it. And the amount of upgrades that I've done with it, I'll show you a picture down below on the description, but you can see the massive amount of upgrades that I've done with it. I put so many cargo ability to it. I changed out the front V-brakes to better caliper V-brakes with the pads. The drum brake, I can't really do anything big with it because it's a drum brake. I tried to, it could be modified to use a disc brake system, which I did try to do, but it didn't really work with the kind of standard system I tried to use. I mean, if you kind of tweaked it a bit, it may have worked, but it will be a little difficult to always take on and off, because you have to probably readjust it and all that jazz. Because the rear tire, it had flat fork insert axle rods, so you would have to like keep on adjusting tire at times. And the rear of the frame was also really annoying because the rear of the frame could actually accept more than that kind of tire size. I believe it could fit a fat tire size in the back, which was quite interesting, because every time you would put the rear tire on, it would actually squeeze the rear of the frame together. So every time you tried to get true when the tire was on, just barely without tightening all the nuts, then you would have to readjust it because the frame would squeeze on itself. So it was a little annoying. But yeah, it could accept a disc brake adapter system, but you would need to basically remove the drum brake disc rotor piece and the drum brake itself and jazz like that, and then get a axle to disc brake mounting adapter, and then the arm kind of rod holder piece. But yeah, so it was a huge conundrum and fiasco with the rear tire, but it was a great bike in general. And the interesting thing also was the bomb bracket system wasn't a standard 68 or 72 millimeter bomb bracket. It was actually built for a fat tire bomb bracket, which is around, I believe, 120 to 130 millimeters. So there wasn't any kind of mid-range, I mean not mid-drive motor systems back then, and so I sort of was like, ugh. And there was any external internal or external bomb bracket pieces. So I had to stick with basically the 3-piece stock bomb bracket connection system and like that. But you can definitely see later on I did upgrade it with a square taper crank arm set that has a removable chainring system, and it performed nicely. I mean, even for a 24-inch cruiser that had a 24-volt and 250-watt motor system, it still shredded. I mean, really crazy. I mean, I can take it off trails and whatnot, and with the better tread I put on it, it was like really awesome. I'm pretty sure I put around like 30 pounds more on the bike and had it like at 100 pounds. Actually, no, 80, yeah, around like 20 to 80, 20 to 30 pounds added on that, which is 100 or 110 pounds for that sucker, and still it is a beast of a bike. It was incredibly powerful, even for such low power ability it had. I was blown away. But yeah, it was kind of annoying to deal with the entire rear tire system and everything, because you had to unscrew the drum brake from the frame, unscrew the rear wheels from the frame, and then remove the tire after unplugging the motor, then putting the tire back on, making sure all the adjustments are correct, because with mine I had to buy an extra adjustment axle rod that basically makes it so the tire, you can insert the tire only so much, because it only came with one. I was like, what? So I had to buy another one and then put that on. But even still, because of how the axle squeezes the rear frame together, it still was crazy to try and true the tire so it wasn't like turning like this when it like I would turn more to this way or more that way when I would ride, and have the handlebars kind of off-centered. So yeah, and I got my first real kind of crash on it too. So I actually went over like, you know, on like main streets you turn onto like an offside street to like houses and whatnot. Well, I ran into an issue where there was water on those, and I was trying to go back up the sidewalk, and I ended up skidding and falling on my bike, falling on the ground on my bike, sprained my right foot, and got a cut on my ankle, and had my cut on my ankle pretty bad for like a month. And this is the result. Let me see if I can switch this. Okay. Where is it? Oh, it doesn't. What? Oh, it doesn't let me like flip it over when I'm recording. What the heck? I thought it did before. No. Oh, okay. I'll show it later. But yeah, it was quite a conundrum of that. But other than that, yeah, it's healed okay. But basically, I'll give a description instead of you guys being grossed out and whatnot. But basically, right below where the ankle bone is, where you can feel the ankle bone, just below that where you can see all the veins and such forth, that's where my cut was. Like, just like, I would say, like if you go from the middle of the ankle bone down that far, that's where my cut was, and it was about that big. And oddly, this is just from rubbing against this guy, my shoe, right here. So I got a cut from just rubbing on my sandalbar, sandals. Yeah, kind of weird. And it basically had that aggravate my foot for quite a while, because it was also around all the nerves and whatnot. It didn't like cut it like a huge gash, it just made it like a little hole, like skimmed the skin off the top and did like that, but it still hurt like crap. But I'm better, I'm still kicking it and all that jazz. And I rode home on power, back home on power after that, and I was like, and it was kind of my worst day, because before that I had a flat tire as I was trying to come home, and after I changed out my tire, my shorts, oddly enough, ripped in the crotch area. Yeah, so I had not only a flat tire, but after I repaired my tire, I had my crotch shorts rip open in the middle like some kind of movie film thing. I was like, and then I get crashed. I was just like, oh man, this is just fantastic. So anyways, I'll show you guys the video, I mean the upgrade Yukon-Trail, and you guys can see and comment how crazy that looked. And now I'm upgrading this. So anyways, I'll see you guys later, and peace out.